Give you the suspect's name, and you might want to write this down. Last name is Gardiner. It's Gardiner. So Gardiner. Wayne Kendall. Actually, Cece, come here for a second. I know we do our names different. First name Kendall or Wayne? Okay. First name is Wayne. Born June 4th, 1983. June 4th, 1983 of Clinton, Maryland. And Tyler? Good? Okay. Give me 1 second. So we have Chief Hank Stawinski, the Prince George's County Police Department. He'll talk about the police activity that occurred this morning. Also, we have Chief Ben Barksdale with the Prince George's County Fire Department, who will talk about the fire response, as there was a fire involved in this morning's event. Chief?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to come to the community today with the good work of the men and women of the Prince George's County Police Department and the Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department, bringing a difficult situation to a successful resolution. At approximately 7:50 this morning, alert neighbors, and I want to thank them, telephoned 911 saying that a neighbor's house was being broken into by a gentleman, and they provided us with a very good description. His name is Wayne Kendall Gardiner. He's a 33-year-old male and resides in the Clinton area. Mr. Gardiner was observed breaking into the home. Our officers were en route and within a few minutes arrived on scene. At that point, independent witnesses had observed him removing some things from the home. He went back into that home, and at this point, officers moved to the perimeter of the house, and he fled into the wood line armed with a shotgun. At this point, our officers pursued him towards the wood line and then found a place of cover and held position, because at this point we have an armed individual and he's not in line of sight. Very quickly, additional units responded, created a perimeter encompassing several square miles all the way out to 301, cognizant of the concerns of this hospital, cognizant of the concerns of the residents still in their homes. At that point, a barricade was called and our emergency services team, Special Operations Division, responded. The fire department was hampered in their initial efforts, and I'll let Chief Barksdale talk about that, by the fact that we did not have eyes on the suspect immediately. So they did their best to mitigate the fire and then pulled back. Our EST teams then moved in, created a perimeter to allow them to go in and extinguish that. Subsequently, our EST teams went into the wood line. Along the track, we had canine assistance, and we found Mr. Gardiner hiding in the wood line and made apprehension. He is unharmed. He has an extensive criminal record. And at the end of this process, we've now lifted the shelter in place. I want to thank the community for taking that seriously, because at various points along the line, we knew we had a tight perimeter, but we weren't entirely certain where the suspect was. We have recovered the weapon. At this point, I'll turn it over to Chief Barksdale to talk about the firefighting aspects, and then we'll answer any questions you have. Chief?
Thank you, Chief Stawinski. Okay, so as Chief said, when fire department units arrived, we did find fire showing from the rear of the home. We were given information that did have a suspect that it was in the wood lines. With that much information, we did make a decision to make a quick initial attack, knock the fire down. But then until the person was apprehended, we evacuated the building. EST arrived on the scene to provide further support for the initial officers on the scene. At that time, the fire continued to smolder. It did light back up, and crews went back inside and mopped it up. The fire was very small in nature. It was in one of the bedrooms and was contained to the bedroom with a little bit of smoke out into the hallway.
Any questions?
Did he set the fire, do you know, or?
It appears that, yes, that he set the fire.
Who lived in that home?
We have one resident, we're not going to share his name, but he is safe, and we knew that he was safe shortly after this began. We had contacted him. He was very helpful to us in terms of identifying what may be in that house, and frankly, that weapon that he secured was the victim's weapon, but we do have that now as well, so that's no longer out there.
The weapon was left inside of the house, or was within the
It was secured in the home. It's the victim's home. He had secured that in the home in a proper fashion, but the suspect had gotten access to it while he was removing items. And as I said earlier, he had been in the house, removed some items, and went back in. So he had some time before neighbors alerted us.
Do you believe the suspect targeted that home? Did he know that victim in any way?
The suspect has an extensive criminal history. He probably frequents the area. He lives in Clinton. As far as that specific home, we don't have that, but all those other questions will be part of the ongoing investigation, which is really just beginning. This began at 7:50. It was concluded at 10:10, and now we've got the Regional Investigation Division investigating the particulars.
So no relationship between the suspect and the homeowner?
No.
Was the weapon loaded?
At this point, I can't verify that. We've just recovered it. I will give that information to you as soon as I know. Irrespective of that, we were worried about fire EMS personnel, so we took appropriate action to balance the property owner's concerns with the concerns of safety of the fire department, and I think we struck a good balance. But we're very concerned about the damage the victim's home has sustained.
I'm sorry, Chief, I want to be clear about the gun. I'm a little confused. It appears that the suspect went into the house and stole the shotgun from inside of the home, or came with the shotgun?
That's our information at this point.
That he stole it from inside of the house?
From inside of the house, yes.
Left it in the house, ran out into the woods?
No, took it with him into the wood line, which is why our officers secured that perimeter and didn't pursue him into the wood line. One officer identified him with a weapon as he goes into the wood line. That's why all the perimeter, that's why all the EST call out, that's why the dogs. This was done professionally. It was done in measured fashion to ensure the safety of everybody. And again, I want to thank the community for taking seriously our shelter-in-place request, because at any given moment, we didn't know where he was going or what else he might have with him.
And he has a gun when you all arrested him?
We have recovered that as well.
What did the suspect say apprehended?
So he hasn't said anything yet. And again, all of that is now, he's with detectives, he's being interrogated. We'll have more answers for the community once that process is completed.
Do you know how that fire was started or why he chose the bedroom to...
We don't have any particulars on that. I'll ask the fire chief.
No idea.
No, but that's part of the investigation. When we know, you'll know. We do have the fire marshal and members of the fire department arson team here, so all those questions will be answered.
Chief, when you all went, Fire Chief Barksdale, when you all went into the house, was the suspect still armed inside of the home, or had he left inside the house?
He'd already left the house.
So can you just describe the concern of going into that house, knowing that there was an armed suspect who saw you leave the home?
Yes, I mean, it was a concern of ours. We wanted to make sure that we had information from the police stating that he was, in fact, in the wood line, wasn't in the house, and a decision was made to, again, quickly knock down the fire and then get out of the home until further information we could gather to make sure that he was not going to come back.
Do you all believe he's responsible for any of the break-ins in this area?
Again, it's an active investigation. He's being interrogated now. He does have an extensive criminal record.
When you say extensive criminal record, what type of crimes?
Well, we'll be able to provide all that to you, but again, it's extensive at this point. Similar crimes to the one that we're investigating this morning. And I do want to be clear. He was in that house initially. When we arrived, he was fleeing that house. The fire had been set, and he ran into the wood line with that shotgun. So if there was any confusion about that chain of events, I just wanted to clarify that for you.
Confirm that there were other break-ins in the neighborhood?
No, I can't confirm that at this point. I'm just saying he has an extensive criminal history of crimes similar to the fashion that we are investigating this morning.
Other than a shotgun, did you take anything else?
Well, again, we'll provide additional. Right now, we know other items were removed by other independent witnesses. Okay?
I'll help clarify. You guys are good for the Chiefs? Okay, cool.
All right, everybody, thank you. Appreciate you standing out in the rain for us.